Hey guys, it's Jen Coffey from Manchester, New Hampshire. And I just wanted to say a few words about the lawsuit that's going on in Florida, the Kowalski versus John Hopkins All Children's Hospital. The Kowalski family was put through absolute torture by this hospital. Right now, what's basically going on, in a way, is CRPS is on trial, complex regional pain syndrome. See, the hospital believes that it was in her head, that Meyer made herself sick, that she refused to stand up, not was unable, that the lesions on her body were self inflicted wounds. Uh, it, it goes on. The accusations are absolutely horrific. And to put the story in short, Maya, when she was younger, had a problem going on, and her parents took her into the emergency room. They took her in to John Hopkins All Children's Hospital. And seemingly things seemed like everybody was on the same page. She needs to be taken care of. She's, we're treating, she was being treated for complex regional pain syndrome, CRPS. She gets admitted, and somebody on the floor gets basically a hair across their ass. They don't like opinionated mom. Well, I respect opinionated mom. I was an EMT. I didn't just stand there when my kid was sick. I was right on top of it. Well, mom was a nurse, so of course she was on top of it. Dad was is in the fire service. I mean, these are the kind of people that are responding to your 911 calls every day, or there for you in the hospital, right? So obviously they're very in tune or intuitive when it comes to medicine. Plus, when your kid is diagnosed with a rare disease, it changes things. It makes it harder because you're having to educate at the same time that you're trying to request the care. Um, and that can be difficult when and I can share a story at some point about my own experience when you run into an emergency room provider who is ignorant to the rare disease that you have and unwilling to be educated otherwise. They'd rather think it was in your head or that you're drug seeking. These people put this child through torture. They took her off all of her medications that keep her CRPS at bay. They interrupted the treatment she was under, and it's a very widely known fact that if CRPS is caught early enough and treated aggressively enough, it can be prevented to spread to other areas of the body, and it can even in some cases, go back into a remission where you're almost symptom free. You can do a lot if it's caught right away. That's key. The United States stinks at this. Stinks. And I can prove that other countries do it better. I can show you a protocol that is out there that warns providers to look for CRPS in patients and even educates patients themselves to watch out for it. In this lawsuit, the hospital has put CRPS on trial. Is it a real disease or is it a mental illness? Because that's what they're saying. They're accusing Myra of having conversion syndrome. They're accusing her of creating her symptoms, of not truly having them, of faking them. That she really could stand up if she just tried. So they force her. They try to force her. This video of them taking this child out of bed, inappropriately, by the way, no gait belt, no appropriate position. Nurses basically like shoving their arms underneath this girl's armpits and telling her to stand up. Oh, you can do it, stand up. Forcing what can't be done. It wasn't, she would love to stand up at that point, but she was unable. And they were unwilling to treat her for the medical ailment she has. And unfortunately, CRPS is incurable. And when it goes past that point, you can no longer achieve higher levels of function. If I had been caught sooner, who knows what would have happened for me. But like many CRPS patients, it's taken years and many providers until we've gotten the correct diagnosis. And in my case, I have a secondary diagnosis as small fiber neuropathy, which is actually provable on a biopsy. And it's pretty damn bad. So and Dr. Farhad, who's one of the leading neurologists in the country in that treats CRPS and treats young children, incidentally, he will tell you that there's a belief that he's a hypothesis or whatever you want to call it, that he has that small fiber neuropathy is a form of complex regional pain syndrome. And there are forms, but this case is so horrible. It's disgusting. I honestly can't fathom how the lawyers for the hospital can ask the nasty questions that they do, to make the innuendos that they do. In their view, mom was crazy, Munchausen by proxy, and she was hurting her daughter. Her daughter that had made gains after going through ketamine infusions, the initial dosing and everything, and was making gains, but then she had a setback, which we all, I mean, flares happen, stuff happens. And this hospital interrupts it all and steals that life away from her. I mean, God, I would give anything to be able to just skip and run. Like, I used to love to run. I would give anything to be able to sprint, you know? And I'd like to not need a device to bathe or walk with, you know? This is not a fun disease. They call it the suicide disease for a reason. 70% of people who get it, adults and children, men and women, every flavor that we come in, this disease knows no race or sex, although it does occur more than women. Men get it too. It's a horrible disease. It really is. And I'm so blown away. I don't understand how you can see somebody writhing in pain and do nothing, and see that going on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days, and still try and say it's in our head. There's enough medical documentation to get to prove that this disease exists. It is definitively proven by medical science, and you can look it up on the McGill Pain Scale, which is what the world medical community uses to rate pain. Complex regional pain syndrome is at the very top. There is nothing worse for pain. Not getting amputated, not giving birth without medication, not passing kidney stones, not cancer, non-terminal cancer, CRPS. And these people got it in their head that it was fake, that it was made up, that it was I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted how they treated this child, how they destroyed this family. For if you do not know, and forgive me, but I got to tell you the truth, her mother committed suicide about 3.5 months or so after the hospital kidnapped her, Maya, the child, took her away from her family, accused her mother of Munchausen by proxy, said that she had conversion syndrome and she was making up fictitious things, Maya. So mom hung herself in the family home and left notes with the absolute intention that if she was out of the picture, her daughter could come home, and then her husband would be able to take her and get the appropriate treatment that she needs. You know, it did happen shortly after she died, after she committed suicide. Well, then the hospital decided she could go home. And Maya finally got to go to the doctors, the experts, who, by the way, are testifying in this case. Dr. Kilpatrick, Dr. Hannah, Dr. Gupta. These are experts in CRPS, and they're all here testifying. Why? Because this hospital is trying to make it into a joke and make it fake and make it made up. And that's not going to save lives in my community. There are people who die from CRPS all the time. And this attitude, this case, should it go the wrong way, will increase that number exponentially. I have hope that the jury will listen to the doctors and this family and not buy in to the fairy tale that hospital, John Hopkins All Children's Hospital, is trying to make of it. We need to be on their side as a community and stand up for the people in our community who are suffering from CRPS. You know, ironically, this is October, which is Pinktober when we talk about breast cancer. And my CRPS and small fiber neuropathy were caused by breast cancer. Yeah, so there's that. I don't know what we can do, but I want to see a very large public apology by John Hopkins All Children's Hospital when this is over. If that even matters then. If they had any, if they had any decency, they'd end this, settle with the family, and educate their staff about the existence of rare diseases.